Sono Bisque Doll wa Koyo Suru is a show devised for cute otaku girls to convince their boyfriends to buy them cosplay. In the first episode, when Gojo's granddad confronts him about whether or not he's made any friends in between making costumes for dolls throughout middle and high school so far, you can feel the weight of his entire ancestry's concern. His head is framed overlapping photos of the boy's deceased parents and grandmother, which are never actually addressed directly in the scene. He is satisfied by what we can tell is a lie from his grandson, by the way that his eyes refuse to remain on track as he explains it. And it was here I started to feel like I could trust the directing in this show. I feel exactly the same way that Gojo does around extremely beautiful women. Afraid to open my mouth because I don't want to say, "You're beautiful and I wish I looked just like you," but I haven't quite made it past that step in my mind yet. Not ready with something to offer and thus feeling that every glance is stolen. I'm guilty for taking it. Also, though, this sense of fear in the back of my mind that someone's gonna see this small beautiful thing and try to taint it, and hoping somehow it's protected by something. I usually see girls like this in flocks, groups with a kind of aura about them like deer ready to frolic away at the approach of danger. The world that beautiful girls like that live in really does seem to be completely separate from regular looking people, and especially from someone that's essentially a cultural outsider such as our main character here. Funnily though, it's Gojo who is set to be taken advantage of, as this girl Marin finds out that he can sew and, well, starts stripping naked without explanation because anime. Turns out she's trying to make this complicated cosplay to imitate some slutty anime picture she saw online that looks like something KT Cosplay would have retweeted. I have always wanted to try cosplay, but there aren't a lot of characters I would be satisfied to see myself trying to look like. I could see maybe doing Annie from Attack on Titan, or Beatrice the Golden Witch, of course, but that's about it. Also, this show's ED is fucking adorable, and I would love to know who animated it and what is their Twitter handle. My impressions based on just the first episode were that this show was cute and surprisingly innocent for something so couched in the beauty of its main character. The show did an excellent job of conveying attractiveness in the art without so much explicit lewdness, and the fact that the characters exist in a world where anime is seen as every bit as ridiculous to the characters as it is to us in reality, it creates the sense that this show is actually set in reality. That extra detail given to the character art and to aspects of beauty which are typically ignored by horny men keeps the show in this gender-neutral space that, while I don't think it will appeal to everyone per se, should be of equal interest to anyone who resonates with its themes. Funnily enough, my favorite outfits in anime are always the ones that don't look like cosplay, but just very regular street fashion that I would want to wear anyways. Like, this would be an incredibly subtle cosplay, but a damn good outfit just to wear out. I hope there's somehow a way to buy clothes from this show, or that they're based on real existing ones maybe. Sono Bisque Doll wa Koyo Suru was made to help guys with a figure collection learn how to handle being around hot girls in real life, even when they share your interests. Luckily, Gojo is one of those instantly likable, passionate weirdos who just keeps his head down and makes cool stuff and is actually completely reasonable in his abject terror at facing a beauty which doesn't seem to be fully aware of itself. Begin the flirtatious sex comedy. I really do have to imagine that plenty of fashion designers who are attracted to their models have dealt with some of these issues, though probably not to the extent of such a comedy of errors. Incidentally, when Gojo's granddad first reacts to seeing him taking notes while watching what seems like porn, that got the first laugh out of me. A lot of this show's quality is in its subtlety and direction. The third episode opens with a wet dream that has more clear sexual overtone than what we saw before, but in a comedic way, where the voice acting is at this just precise intersection of pornographic and hilarious. A very commendable performance moment from Sugita Hina-san. This is followed with Gojo waking up to realize he jizzed himself under the judgment of his own bisque doll. It's cute that by episode 3 our main characters are functionally dating. They're clearly into one another and have good chemistry to the point that I started feeling like a voyeur into someone's relationship after a while. Particularly when Gojo asks her, "Please stop teasing me," it felt like we're bridging out of the second episode's flirtatious stage and going right into a relationship we could actually take seriously. When they're walking home and Marin is just scrolling through her phone looking and talking about how gorgeous all the cosplayers are, and then she starts grilling him about how he must be thinking she's fat because he saw her eating, I was like, this is just real life. This is just what a modern relationship is. In that sense, it's pretty easy to see the escapism. Wouldn't you like to be or date either a beautiful, outgoing cosplay girl or a good-natured, tall, and reliable tailor? I think it does a good job of walking a two-way street of wish fulfillment, but by the end of episode 3, I feel like I've already taken the ride, and now I'm hoping for an actual story to develop, or to see these characters humanized with some believable flaws that I might care about them as people, beyond just admiring the cuteness of their good natures. Episode 4 does have more of a story and a somewhat complicated message that I feel a few ways about. Gojo overextends himself, taking on tasks to the point of breaking down in tears before remembering the time that he asked his granddad if it's hard to keep doing so much work on these dolls all the time. His granddad says that the work is so hard that he feels like even if he skips one day, it takes the next 3 days to make up for the loss in skill development. But it's the thought of the smiling faces that see his dolls which keeps him going. Gojo as such imagines Marin's smile and grinds through the rest of his work to success, finding out only afterward that his 1 week rush to make her extremely complicated outfit was unnecessary because she wasn't actually planning to dress up at the upcoming event she had mentioned attending to him. I feel two ways about this episode because I see this as a show primarily for a teen and young adult audience who are likely to face the same problems that Gojo does, and I don't know that all of them really need the advice to just push through the pain out of sheer passion. I do think that this mentality may be necessary to achieve the level of mastery in craft which Gojo is striving for and which his grandpa has achieved. But glorification of passion as a means for pushing through the problems created by poor planning and life management skills isn't really a complete piece of advice. The lesson should have been about how you can't try to please everyone all of the time, and Gojo even criticizes himself at one point for doing everything half-assed because he's trying to do too much at once. But this doesn't lead to something healthy. He just whole-asses the too much stuff on his plate and is left clinging to consciousness at the end. Marin crying at the sight of the dress and realizing that her miscommunication had caused him to overwork himself is at least emotionally acknowledging that Gojo's experience should read as traumatic, and it probably makes for better dramatic storytelling that it played out this way than it would have if he just called Marin up and told her, "I can't finish it in time," and she laughed and said, "Oh, I never expected it to be done by then." Which is why I feel divided about the message overall. I don't think it's wrong to tell people that they need to push through the grueling aspects of hard work to succeed, but I also don't like the glorification of someone putting themselves into a situation that's bad for their health and not really having that behavior rectified. Marin's visit to the convention is adorable. I think the show does an excellent job of representing the vibe of cosplay culture and showing a diverse range of body and character types with some pretty fun slant references to contemporary shows that are popular with cosplayers. I also appreciate the twist that he made the cosplay too well and so it overheats her. All through this episode is displayed what I think this show does best, which is extremely expressive character art and animation. The line art and expressions are often very complex with extensive variable line widths to emphasize the curves of Marin's frame. Conveying beauty can be especially difficult in animation where everything is naturally heightened, simplified, and made aesthetically pleasing by design. Many times I have complained when anime tries to emphasize in the dialogue the beauty of a specific character who doesn't actually seem all that exceptionally prettier than the other characters by design. Marin doesn't just seem like a hot girl because she has a nice body, but because of the exquisite attention to detail with which the particularities of her attractiveness are conveyed. Thanks to some careful digital coloring, the show does a decent job of conveying what layers of beauty product Marin applies every day, and it's not just a standard state of the female characters to have shine in their cheeks or luscious lips. It's one of the few anime where you can actually imagine the character in front of the mirror going through her beauty routine each morning believably. If I had to recommend this show to anyone in particular, it's to teens and young adults whose interest in feminine beauty extends beyond the sexual, who are interested in cosplay, and who are looking to have their relationship to beauty and to cosplay sort of contextualized through an innocent-ish version of a realistic relationship. It's a manga written by a woman for a seinen magazine, adapted so lovingly into animation that the author apparently spent 2 days rewatching the first 2 episodes over and over again when they came out. It is somehow the least lewd-feeling sex comedy to ever feature the amount of fan service that it ostensibly has. It's a show for people who are more interested in the fantasy of watching Precure with your partner in a room full of posters than the reality of watching Precure. If you find yourself watching this show with your partner somehow, please leave a comment and let me know how that went. Being inside Marin's head while she cooks, asking herself things like, what's the deal with onions anyways? What's your problem? And then imagining these weird horse things when she's happy is my favorite part of the whole show. Her mind seems like a fun place to be. Was it necessary to show us the middle school girl's panties? I'll leave that answer up to you. This girl's dramatic insertion into the show is forced and trite, but she's basically around to be the more serious cosplayer who fully appreciates the depths of Gojo's talent. She's very cute, but nowhere near the believable character that either of the leads is. At the end of episode 7, we meet another middle school girl, and the conversation immediately turns to the size of her breasts, which, look, I'm just saying, if I didn't already feel way too old for this show at the start, I feel like a grandma by the time I reached episode 8. Sono Bisque Doll wa Koyo Suru is a show for girls who know that they have what it takes to be TikTok and Insta famous, but just need some instruction on how to get into dressing up and taking good pictures of themselves. Or maybe it's for anyone that regrets not getting into cosplay when they were young and had cute friends and all the time in the world to fuck around, and now the only way they can make a living through cosplay is to draw other people doing it for the sake of anyone else who missed their shot. It's also obviously for guys who want to fantasize about a bunch of hot cosplay chicks flocking to them because of their unconventional talents, increasingly so as it assumes a harem structure over the course of the season's development. I didn't mind having seen the first 4 episodes or so of Bisque Doll, but after that I could have done without the rest, and I wouldn't have finished it if I didn't get a kick out of watching anime sped up for the sake of seeing what happens at the end. In comparison to the vast majority of fan service and relationship-driven anime, it is surprisingly responsible and good-hearted, and I kept enjoying the forwardness of Marin's flirtations and the quick motion of their relationship, even if I think it's a bit tainted by playing into the harem fantasy basically for the sake of the manga having reasons to keep publishing when nothing really happens in it. I liked this fit that Marin wears in episode 11, but it also struck me as one of those outfits you'd see advertised on Instagram and think it looks cute, but when you see it in real life it looks cheap and fake. Actually, this thing she wears to the Love Hotel that she takes him to for a photo shoot is really cool, and I would definitely wear it. That's about where I'm at with the show by the end, barely paying attention to the stories that feel increasingly familiar to Bigata HK as I rank Marin's cutest outfits. I do dig the hair and makeup on the succubus cosplay, but the outfit is sort of just generically pornographic. I love the white hat with the almost overalls in the last episode, but I have no idea who could pull it off in real life. Sono Bisque Doll wa Koyo Suru is a show for anyone who sees a name like My Dress Up Darling and thinks, that sounds like a show for me. Personally, it's like a 6 out of 10. The main characters are very likable and cute and have great chemistry, but their total lack of flaws takes them further from relatability and the story into the realm of total escapist fantasy by the time we're 3/4 into the season. It's at its best when teaching you how to cosplay, indulging in the passions of the characters, and letting them admire what's great about one another. It feels intimate and warm, inviting and expressive, which makes it easy to watch. But some of its predilections are a little dicey, and some of its messaging is a little concerning. I can easily see what people love about this show, and I'm not surprised that it's both popular and well rated, and I even think I would have been more keen to indulge in this back when I was around the age that it was targeted towards. A less horny version of this show with actual relationship drama and more focus on street fashion instead of cosplay would probably appeal to me, but now I'm just making up a completely different show, so that's neither here nor there. What is both here and there is the comments section, where you can let me know what you thought about this show and what other recently ended anime you want to hear me talk about on this channel. I've been Trixie the Golden Witch. You can find my writing at goldenwitch.substack.com and subscribe to get bonus podcasts, or get them by becoming a patron at patreon.com/goldenwitchfire. I'm Golden Witch Fire on all social media and payment platforms as well, and I'm asking you to never forget anime forever.